You gotta love a day that starts with President Trump taking questions in the Oval Office with the Prime Minister of Ireland. Ireland, talk about a country that has fallen down on the job. Between abortion, between their anti-Israel stance, all of it obscenity. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. It is St. Patrick's Day, and I guess this qualifies as green. Let's go. The President of the United States, nothing but shamrocks in the Oval, shamrocks and gold, people, which is how I refer to the Shamrock Shake, because it is a perfect treat for St. Patrick's Day in small doses. Tony Katz Today. Remember, friends, don't let friends drink green beer. Green beer is dumb. Don't do it. There's Irish whiskey for a reason. Ask. I will point you in the right direction. But the president was in the Oval with the Prime Minister of Ireland, and just moments ago was taking questions from the press. And there's been a lot of movement today. You've got someone resigning from Tulsi Gabbard's team. I just want to say, for the record, let the losers leave. You don't believe in this war. You don't believe there was any threat from the Iranians. This should not have happened. Bye. His name is Joe Kent. And Joe Kent was the counterterrorism team, a top counterterrorism official, putting on X, after much reflection, I've decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. It is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Oh, screw you. Ridiculous nonsense. And I won't even engage the Israel stuff because it is ridiculous. I can't stop people from believing it. Dear Lord, this weekend was people accusing me of being paid by Mossad. You can't make this stuff up. But they've got nothing else to throw, so they throw this. If you think Trump was led by the nose, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to watch people do this. But if you don't think that Iran was a threat to the nation, and you're actually using the terms like imminent threat, you're an unserious person. You're the counterterrorism official. You're the top guy. You don't know they've been engaged in terrorism since 1979? Sorry, you have a goal that I don't have. And you have a view that I don't have. And I'm glad that you're gone. And now I got to take a strong look at Tulsi Gabbard and ask, what kind of people are you hiring? Because I don't think they've got America's best interest at heart. Well, Tony, you're just a warmonger. Far from it. I believe in removing the threat. They have always been the threat. All you have to do is open your eyes and look. And this idea of imminent threat, when is the threat imminent? When they're planning about attacking the United States, or when the bomb is just about to land on your house? When's the imminent threat? I rest my case. It is such a nonsense term. But the president, he is taking questions. Oh, by the way, I know I'm going to get a whole bunch of haters and stuff. It's fine. It's fine. I am not moved by nonsense conversations. I'm not moved by emotional pablum, right? I wasn't moved by people screaming, you have to let children mutilate themselves and change their gender, otherwise they're going to kill themselves. That never moved me. It was a garbage argument. Those people are child abusers. We note it, and we say, dismiss those people. You don't accept the fact that Iran is, the regime has been a threat? Has always been a threat, that we'll all be better off when these people are gone? I don't know how to help people with that. You don't want war? Okay, I can appreciate that. That's a rational point of view. But very rarely do we get what we want in this world. Very rarely. Meanwhile, the president's answering questions.
Well, I'm having, it's a great thing, my son and my family. We have a great golf complex in Ireland, one of the best in the world, called Doonbeg. It's in Doonbeg. And it's been amazing. And Rory McIlroy loves it. They all love it. great golfers. You have a tremendous golf tradition, and it was chosen for the Irish Open, which is a big deal. That's a big event.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Everybody wants me to be there. You just said, I hope you're going to go.
I did.
And we're going to try. We are going to try, but it will be an honor. But it was a great honor to be chosen. They only choose the best courses in the world for the, for the big opens. It's one of the big ones.
I love that the first question is about a golf course owned by the Trump organization. That's very important. I'm glad we got that. Maybe this is the whole goal, right? Ask Trump the easy one, right? Get him feeling good, and then bring him the tougher questions. All right, it's all just warming up the ground here.
The Irish Open, it's really become one of the most important tournaments in the world. I hear it's going to be a fantastic success.
Be a great success.
Yeah. It's a very hard. It's a very hard course.
What progress have you made, Mr. President, in getting America's allies to assist the U.S. in escorting those oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually. In fact, we just put out a notice. I was watching over the last couple of weeks, and all of our NATO allies were very much in favor of what we did. They thought it was very important. We were just discussing it, actually. Very important that we take out the nuclear threat from Iran, and we've done that very strongly, very powerfully. We've wiped out their Navy, wiped out their military in every aspect. Their Air Force is now decimated. They have no Air Force, no Navy. They have no radar. Their radar is entirely gone. Their anti-aircraft machinery is gone. Everything is gone. Their leaders are gone. I guess one of their top person was, they say, a lot of people say their actual top was killed yesterday, along with somebody else who was responsible for the killing. The man that was responsible for the killing of 32,000 people over the last 2 weeks, he was in charge of the killing of protesters. It's an evil group. I mean, they've killed much more than 32,000 people. And the man who was responsible for that was also killed yesterday. And all of the NATO allies agreed with us. And
I would love to think that's true, although I don't think that's true, because certainly the Spaniards don't agree with you. Spain's in NATO, aren't they? Maybe I'm thinking of it as more a European conversation. They don't all agree. And that's part of the ugly here. The people that were killed was the General Soleimani, again with that name, who was running the Basij, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and Ali Larijani. Larijani was the Iranian security chief, who just last week or a week and a half ago was walking down the streets. Oh, we're fine. Dare the Americans do this, dare do that. And the Israelis came and killed him. Was he the guy really running the country? Because it clearly isn't this Mojtaba Khomeini, the son of the Ayatollah. And the weird stories there was a whole thing that came out over the weekend that the reason that the Ayatollah didn't want his son taking over is because his son is gay. I have no idea if it's true, but what a horrible thing to have to think. Imagine he could have just lived in Western civilization, United States, and been free to live his life and meet who he pleases and fall in love with who he pleases. Oh, but no, you had to hate Western civilization. Sure. Worked out well for you. Now, where is he now? Where is Khomeini now? That's a good question. Has he been injured? Is he incapacitated? Who's running the country? Who's running the country? It's a great question. Bit by bit and piece by piece, you have got these Iranian leaders being killed. And I was on Newsmax earlier, and I said slowly and then quickly, and I don't think I explained it beautifully at that moment. These things take time. The taking out of these leaders, taking out of these military installations, these things take time. But it's only been a little over 2 weeks, so that's very quick. Every day seems slow, but when you take a look at it, it has been the quick dispatch of their capacity of taking out their Soleimani class naval apparatus, taking out drones, taking out missile launchers. It has been an absolutely remarkable level of success. Why do we have so many people who want to tell us this isn't successful? Why do we have so many Americans? Senator Chris Murphy, Representative Ro Khanna, a host of others. Oh, well, this is a disaster. We don't know what we're doing. We don't have an exit plan. What are you talking about? Winning is the exit plan. Ending the regime is the exit plan, and that to me is winning. Putting an end to their ability to engage in terrorism, that's success. Of course, there's a plan that it isn't written out and posted on the bulletin board for everyone to see because leftists haven't been given a timeline so they can scream, my gosh, we're in a forever war. Can we also discuss the fact that the screaming of forever war is what children do? I was right there watching like you did for 20 years the nonsense of Afghanistan. And I think it is wrong that no one was held to account. It is wrong that we spent all of this time and all of this money in Afghanistan and have zero to show for it. Of course, it's wrong. But we also engaged in a wrong philosophy. I don't ever want to hear about counterinsurgency again. I don't want to hear about pinpoint warfare ever again. You have to kill the enemy until the enemy is dead, and then you win. That's how you win. That's how it's done. What we did, nonsense. Pathetic nonsense. Is there any question as to whether or not the Iranian regime was the problem? Whether these people were sponsors of terrorism, whether they were working towards a nuclear weapon, there is no question. Now, you could argue, well, the Israelis are always saying they're just a week away from a nuclear weapon. Yeah, but they may have been a week away multiple times from getting a nuclear weapon. And their point of view could be different than ours. What is our point of view? Our point of view is that quite clearly we know this from Steve Witkoff, that they admitted that they were at 60% enrichment. So when we talk about imminent threat, well, I had to wait until they were 90%, which would be weapons grade. Is this what Joe Kent, the top counterterrorism guy who just resigned, is this his argument? What a foolhardy argument. I'm glad he's gone. I don't have any time for that weakness. Don't do anything until the bombs are flying, till the missiles are flying, till the warheads are activated is a stupid way to go about things. Not apologizing for that. Not apologizing for that at all or in any way. I think this was the right move, and I will make the argument again that this should have happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, so on and so forth. This is it. This absolutely should have happened. I get that some people think that the answer is our military should just look good in the uniform. We have a military, and we shouldn't, it not only should never be used, there's no reason it should ever be used. There's never a reason it should be used. As a matter of fact, the idea of using it, that is un-American and makes you a warmonger. That's weird. That's weird. It's also weird to think that the American soldier doesn't know the job of the American soldier. It is amongst, I think, the weaker arguments out there. And when I dismiss, what do you think makes the soldier special? What do you think makes the soldier special? What do you think we revere them? For what reason would we revere them? It's that they're willing to put themselves on the line. They're willing to run into the battle. They sign up and say, I believe in this nation. I want to serve it. I want to protect it. Does that mean we go to war everywhere? Absolutely, positively not. Does that mean when the commander-in-chief, who is voted for by the people, says go, you go and you give it everything? Yes, it does. That's why we revere the uniform and the people who wear it. That's why we stand at attention. That's why we have Veterans Day. That's why we have Memorial Day, because they matter. It seems that there are a lot of people on the left and the woke right who just want the military to look good in uniforms and march around, but never actually do anything. And nothing's ever a threat. Sorry, I'm not a buyer. And neither are Americans. Oh, I guess social media is not real life. If social media starts becoming real life, we've got ourselves even bigger problems. I am absolutely in favor of what has taken place. I want to end this quickly. I want the regime broken. I want the IRGC broken. I want the end to the support of terrorism. And I want to have to stop thinking about the Middle East so much. That would be awesome. We have other things to think about. Let this be the start of not thinking about them. That's what I'd like to see. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. So let's, first of all, can we break down some of the ridiculous troll comments? Iran doesn't attack anyone. You believe everything you're told. Pick a number between 1 and 20, producer Landon. Go ahead. Pick. Let's go with number 12. August 2001. Sbarro Pizzeria bombing Jerusalem. A Hamas suicide bomber attacked the Sbarro Pizzeria in Jerusalem, killing a U.S.-Israeli dual citizen and 2 other Americans, along with 12 others. Hamas, supported financially by the Iranian regime. I'm so glad I could easily prove you wrong. That was pretty simple. You're just wrong. You're just wrong. Let's see. What else do we have there? The Epstein, this is Epstein Files cover-up. Okay, well, counter argument. You have a micro penis. Wait, isn't that what we do now? It's all about the micro. I mean, I laughed as I was saying it. I'm so sorry. It's Megyn Kelly and Marjorie Taylor Greene said this is what we say to people we disagree with now. So I'm just, no? Shocking. Release the Epstein Files in full, and anybody abusing children, arrest them and throw them in jail. Oh, and take out the Iranian regime and leave no trace of them behind. We could do 2 things at once. There you go. That was easy. Was there anything else? Anything else? So by my logic, I want to obliterate all countries. I think you meant obliterate there, which is with an O, but that's all right. It happens. No. If a country is engaged in, I think a backwards life or a detrimental life, that is up to that country to fix. I can't do anything for them. I think that the argument of we can't be everywhere, we can't do everything, we can't save it. I believe that we can't save every nation. That's not our job. But they're engaged in terrorist activities against us. They're destabilizing force, the Iranian regime. Why can't we just say that and admit that? The North Koreans could be seen as a destabilizing force. But it seems that because China is right there, they don't get as insane. So no, I don't want to obliterate all countries. I don't understand how some countries do things, but I mean, that's up to them. You could say this so wholeheartedly because you don't know what sacrifice or service is. Neither one of those things is true. This is the old argument of, you never served, so you don't get to say. Of course I get a say. I'm an American citizen. Of course I get a say. And if American citizens don't get a say, what in the world are we fighting for? It's a ridiculous argument. You're engaged in silliness here. And I don't allow those things to move me. Well, of course I like peace. You can't have peace with people who want to kill you. Just can't be done. No matter what you think, no matter what you pretend, it can't be done. There is a great mom joke in here, but I'm not even going to do it. Not even going to do it. Not doing it. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. So we got digging more to what's going on with the TSA and these wait times, because Democrats will not fund the Department of Homeland Security. And they're now playing this game of, well, we'll fund the TSA. Why won't you just fund the TSA? We can't fund ICE. Oh, ICE is just a non-starter, but we'll fund the TSA. Why won't you fund the TSA? Republicans waited way too long. They really did. It's just such bad messaging. Tony Katz today, they have the winning argument and they don't know how to make it. And I will say for the record that Speaker Johnson has shown himself in this not to be prepared to fight. That guy is not a wartime consigliere, not at all. It's shameful is what it is. It would have been so simple, so easy for them to hang this around the necks of Democrats. It is their shutdown. And so now they're trying to do it because they're putting out videos telling travelers there are going to be long wait times, and it's because of the Democrat shutdown. Yes, I absolutely oppose utilizing the government agency TSA for the purpose of this kind of talk. You've got senators, you've got members of Congress, you can create your own ads. I don't believe in stopping you. Go forward, put out videos, all that. Utilizing TSA channels to do it? Nope. Nobody's interested in watching your fight like that. Give me information, get me through security. On the messaging spot, from actual individual members of the Senate, of the House, from the Oval, you message away. You go nuts. Knock yourselves out. That's exactly what you should do. You should immediately be doing that. I said you should be there at the airports, apologizing for what Democrats are doing and make videos around that. Haven't done it. So now they're putting out these videos. Just it's not going to win the day. And Republicans missed their messaging window. That's my take. And I again go back to, do these people really want to lose? What? Is there something valuable to being the loser? Because then you can complain about everything, but hey, what are we gonna do? We lost. It's easier that way. Governing is hard. I'm not a believer that both parties are the same. I've never been a uniparty conversation guy. But when people say, what is the point? Like when they feel like what's the point of voting? This is the stuff they're talking about, and they feel totally helpless in it. I get that. Now, I don't think you still don't vote, because allowing those people that power is nuts. But my God, would these Republicans fight already? I'm Tony Katz. Just want them to fight. That is all. Okay, producer Landon. So I blame the shutdown on Democrats, 1,000%, because we're not going to defund ICE or change things for ICE, or because you're angry. Not going to do it. You want to take a look at what happened in Minneapolis? Fine. I'm taking a look at what's happening in the rest of the country, and ICE is doing their job. You want to take a look at those who let in illegal immigrants? They didn't do their job. Removing them is doing the job. I want the job done. Don't tell me about Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Those investigations are happening, and we're going to find out whether people were involved in a good shoot or not. And I'm going to assume that in Renee Good, absolutely. And in Alex Preddy, I really do think it's 50-50. There's going to be the argument of the other officers hearing gun had reason to believe that there was going to be an issue. But this guy having a gun on him is different than pointing a gun at someone. And I think that's the way this is going to go. Now, this guy, Alex Preddy, not a good guy, not a saint, not a savior, not going to pretend that he was. Got himself involved when he shouldn't have been. But that one I'm still a little 50-50 on, because I don't have yet anything regarding how ICE or law enforcement on the federal side looks at these things and what their rules of engagement are. I don't have an expertise in that. So I look at it as you do, as a layman, and say, that one's going to be harder. That one's harder to explain. Renee Good, she did what she did. Renee Good it's unquestionable. She did this to herself. Oh, they didn't have to shoot. She should have listened. And that's going to be how that argument plays out. It is. I agree that the left's suicidal empathy is as great a threat or worse than our enemies. It is a suicidal empathy. That much is absolutely true. 1,000%. Ooh. Should the Kurds have their own country? I don't know who I would even bring in to discuss that. But there are Kurds in Iraq, Kurds in Iran, well, they may be hiding Kurds in Turkey. Ooh. I would need a little more on historical perspective to be able to answer that properly. I do think it's a good question. I'd love to know the answer, how that works. What is the history? Where have they been moved from? Where have they been isolated from? Have they been? Those kinds of questions. I hope you don't mind my saying that I don't have the answer there. I don't lie about those things when I don't have it. I know some people, they'll pretend. Not much into that. Not much of that guy at all. All right. Let's go back to the president's presser, shall we? Yes, we shall. Oh, yes, Iran, I have the absolute answer for. Take out the regime, kill them until they're dead, let the people live free, let us not be bothered. Yeah, I got that. Just like that. I don't know why you don't, though. Weird. Real weird. So President Trump in the Oval Office with the Irish Prime Minister at St. Patrick's Day. Don't you know? Now, some people are going to think it's okay to see somebody who isn't wearing green and then pinch them. I think that's weird. Don't be pinching strangers. That is just awkward stuff. Awkward stuff indeed. I mean, I don't know who came up with that rule, but you can't do that to people anymore. You can't just walk up to somebody and pinch them. That's just... That'll get you attacked. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. President Trump engaging a whole series of questions. This one about NATO.
Need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually. In fact, we just put out a notice. I was watching over the last couple of weeks, and all of our NATO allies were very much in favor of what we did. They thought it was very important. We were just discussing it, actually.
Now, we had actually discussed this earlier, and I said, I don't know if all our NATO allies thought this was great. But this was a question about the Strait of Hormuz, which is weird because it was first, why aren't more nations helping to make sure the Strait of Hormuz is passable? And then it was, we don't need no stinking help badges. We don't need no stinking badges. And we don't need these people. We'll handle it. I'm not sure where he wants to be in this argument. If you want to, it could be that President Trump thought that they would engage this with the Israelis and other nations and be like, absolutely, we're in. How can we help? That is a real misread of where these nations are and how they look at military action. They want to be seen as proactive, not reactive. Every leader wants to be seen as proactive and not reactive, and not running to be at Trump's beck and call. I don't think the administration understands this part of it. I go back constantly to people being amazed that the Canadians push back. Why is everybody amazed that the Canadians push back? Because we could take them in a fight? Well, of course we could take them in the fight. But that's not the point. Why does anybody think that Canadians would just roll over and take it? And take the jabs and everything else? Isn't it bad enough they lost in hockey to our men's team, to our women's team, and to our Paralympic team? We swept the Canadians, all three. That is hockey dominance. The women, the men, the Paralympic team, huge. Congratulations to everybody. And that's, by the way, got them upset. But I don't think it's so surprising. I don't think it's so surprising that nations be like, we don't want to be seen as just doing whatever Trump tells us to do, because all politics are local. We got to look good to our people. Which, I ask you, don't you want your leadership to have strength? Of course. I don't know why it's weird that people don't, that people think it's weird that people don't come running to be supportive of Trump. They have their own agendas. So for Trump to say, why aren't they here? And then say we don't need them. I think that if Trump wanted them, he would have started working on that immediately. I think he thought they may just come on board because, after all, it's their oil. And I think they're going to say, well, you started this, so you clean it up. And then they'll come in when they feel they have to for their own nation's interest. I just think that that's standard. Maybe you think I'm wrong. Let me know in the chat room or on Twitter X at Tony Katz. But back to the presser. Proving my point. Nations will figure out how to engage and how to connect based on what they think is best for them. It's not surprising. That's my whole point. Someone in the chat, as we're live streaming on YouTube, we probably thought that the world would appreciate getting rid of the current Iranian government. Oh, I think they do. You know, let's not confuse the issues. When the Europeans were getting all sorts of ridiculous uppity about Greenland, and they were all getting tough in the posturing about Greenland, that's because they wanted that public face. What were they saying in private? Thank God Trump wants Greenland. Because Greenland keeps the Russians and the Chinese at bay, which is much better for us. Remember, all those NATO nations, all those European nations were thrilled that they never had to spend money on a military because we were there to protect them from the Russian threat for decades. And that's why they were so upset with Trump for saying you got to pay your 2% of GDP for NATO. And they were like, how dare you? They all turned into Greta Thunberg. How dare you? He was right. You crazy bastards are going to give up nuclear power to buy oil and natural gas from the Russians who want to kill you? Are you completely insane? He was right. He was 1,000% right. And when it comes to Greenland, he's still right. Now, we need Greenland for the conversation regarding hypersonic missiles and how one views those missiles, because hypersonics ride the curvature of the Earth versus ballistic missiles, which move into the atmosphere and then back down. You can see them. They're much easier to target and shoot down. Hypersonics are difficult, so you need some more advanced warning, and Greenland gives us a tremendous amount of advanced warning for any missiles coming over the Arctic. Very simple to understand. And if we're going to have this land, we're then going to be engaging what President Trump refers to as Golden Dome, which we would say is missile defense. And who's going to be a beneficiary of that? Europe. So all of their talk was for their people and to be able to say it privately, and not even so privately, they were thrilled. You'll notice that Middle Eastern nations aren't screaming at Trump. They're thrilled. They're tired of these people. They want the Iranian lowlifes gone. They hate this regime. Hate it. Hate. Searing hate. Like Madeline Kahn in Clue. Just burning flames from the side of my head. Just hate these people. And rightfully so. Because these people are garbage. Absolute garbage. And they were disrupting the entire region. And them being gone is better. It allows for trade. It allows nations to build. Does that mean everything's going to be perfect for 100 years? I doubt it. You cannot guarantee everything. But is there any question that Iran is the destabilization of the Middle East, this regime? And if they go, you have a better chance at something better? Yes. So much of what you're seeing is the throwing out of the old style. And this is why, some people will get into, oh, sure, you want to attack Iran, you're just a neocon. The neocon would have dropped 12 bombs and said, showed you. Ha! And then they would have gone back to the cloakroom and had themselves some really crappy whiskey and said, oh, yeah, we showed them. That's not what's happening here. That's why the whole neocon argument doesn't hold any water. It's not a valuable conversation. This is about fundamentally changing the region because the region wants to change. It's about an opportunity. Now, I argue this should have happened years ago. And I again state I'm glad it's happening now. Back to President Trump in this presser.
We're not ready to leave yet, but we'll be leaving in the near future. We'll be leaving in pretty much the very near future. But right now they've been decimated from every standpoint. And again, we've had great support from countries in the Middle East, great support, but we've had essentially no support from NATO.
Yes, no support from NATO. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on that one. Just a large part of me that's not surprised. Not. They don't want to be seen as doing follow the leader. That's it. But this idea that somehow Trump is supposed to tell you his timeline and when we're done, I do think that is very, very weird. That people think that should be the case. Meanwhile, we may see a vote on the SAVE Act. And Democrats are losing their minds. Still lying about this very, very rational legislation. I'll have that coming up. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Yeah. So it seems that the chat room has become completely insane. Oh, yeah, I block people for cursing. I block people for stupidity. I don't even apologize for it. Not about to. Disagreement's fine. Stupidity is not. Also, it's my chat room. I'll do anything I want. What? I can't? Of course I can. I can, and I will, and I just did. And I might again. You'll be all right. Okay. I'm going to make you listen to Chuck Schumer now. That's right. That's right. That's the punishment. Someone said, oh, check out his last name. He's a Zionist. Yeah, okay. Sure. You think I've got a problem with saying that a nation has a right to exist and defend itself? Not at all. I have no issue with this. It doesn't insult me. Throw it around. What does it matter? It's all just too silly for words. Too silly for words. Someone just told me on Twitter, I'm on the wrong side. I'm on America's side. These people think this works. No, man. Part of what is necessary is I have no willingness to bow to these people at all. Zero. They're nuts. Oh my God, we have safe words now. The safe word's banana because the safe word's banana. What should the safe word be? No, it should never be cheeseburger when talking about Chuck Schumer because nothing about his cheeseburgers are safe. All right, we're coming back. Excellent, Smithers. Yeah, part of the dealing with the woke right is it's just screaming. Let's go convince people. Let's go share a better argument. But don't tell me that they're all about America. Oh, camera just went down. Hold on. Chuck Schumer has things to say. Man, does he hate the SAVE Act.
A strong leader on this issue. He feels it, like Joe and I do, passionately, and like all the people here, that this is really one of the most pernicious pieces of legislation that I've ever seen. And they try to disguise it because they know how bad it is. So let me say a few words. Thank you very much. You know, America.
Let's hold up first and let me explain why I have to share Chuck Schumer's words, which is really unfair to a great number of you who have done nothing wrong. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. I'm sharing Chuck Schumer because one of you out there is not wearing green for St. Patrick's Day. So instead of being pinched, you get this. This is your punishment. You know who you are. You did this. Go ahead. You're in your car. Look at the person next to you. Are they wearing green? They're going to force you to listen to Chuck Schumer, and you have to do it. You have. Yep, that's right. That is what happens. This is about the SAVE Act. This is about voter ID. This is about ID when you register. This is about keeping voting safe. And Democrats are desperately, desperately opposed to this idea. Desperately. I don't know why. Oh, wait. We all know why. Because they favor the opportunity for fraud. That is the only thing that we can come to. It is the truth that they cannot run away from. They favor the opportunity for fraud. And I don't know why anybody would favor the opportunity for fraud. This is the whole concept of imminent. Do I have to act only when the fraud is discovered after the election is done, after the vote's been cast, and after the person's in office? Or can I do something before the fraud happens? Why would I wait for the vote to have already taken place? Anyway, I told you it was punishment. Chuck Schumer.
Americans are watching in horror as Donald Trump bumbles this country into war.
Also, Democrats very okay with trying to demoralize the troops and lying so other countries feel emboldened. Very weird, these Democrats. Very, very un-American talk from Senator Schumer, from Senator Murphy, and a host of others.
Tanking our economy, driving up costs for families. But what are Republicans prioritizing, MAGA Republicans, in the Senate this week? They're conspiring with Donald Trump to undermine democracy and disenfranchise millions of Americans by pushing the SAVE Act.
Until a senator walks up to him and says, you are a lowlife. You think illegal immigrants should vote. You're disgusting. You hate Americans. You don't believe in their right to vote. You just want power. Go to hell, Chuck. Until that happens, directly to him, they're going to keep talking like this. You have to get in their face. And no, I don't like it. But they've set the rules. And until they're willing to change, you have to keep going by their rules. And I do think that people want the toughness. The Democrats want the opportunity for fraud, and they don't care if your vote is somehow harmed as long as they get power. They really hate you. That's what Chuck Schumer's saying. I'm Tony Katz. Oh, look at that. Deborah admits that she's not wearing green, and that's why you had to hear Chuck Schumer. It was Deborah, everybody. Deborah in the chat room did it. That was just saying. Just saying, Deborah. Honestly, on behalf of all of us. So disappointed. What was that? There'll be no public pinchings, Producer Landon. This is what I'm saying. The whole thing is weird. Super weird. I've got more of Trump's presser to get to. Oh, look at that. Yes, I can do that. That is solid. Right there. So here's what we've got. Well, the radio show is in commercial break. And so we're going to take the break right now. So smoke them if you got them. Hang loose. All is good. I didn't have that. I was like, what's different about the show today? That right there. That right there. So hang loose, and we'll be back in a little bit. All right? Good time to use the bathroom. Keep it here. So I have no idea why my camera is giving me a little bit of issue. I'm fixing it right now. Hopefully I'll get it handled right and well without a problem. Tony Katz today. Everything else is working great. Comments are going. Everything else is good. Just trying to get this camera back up and running. God, there's a ton I haven't gotten to yet. Just a ton of stories. The story out of Virginia was super ugly. The story is about a high school where an illegal immigrant who is 19 is a junior at the high school. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Live streaming on the YouTube. Check it out for yourself. Just go to Tony Katz and subscribe. It's just that easy. And this was a local reporter. Neil Minock, Minock, for WJLA in Washington, D.C. and Virginia, who created the video about this. Now, this is disturbing stuff. Really and truly. But this is what's happening in Fairfax schools.
Hey, I'm Nick Minock with 7 News. I'm learning a Fairfax County high school student is charged with 9 counts of assault and battery. And this student happens to be in the country illegally. ICE told me that he entered the country in 2024 and was released under the Biden administration. And now he's charged with assault and battery. ICE told me they lodged a detainer against this man who is in the jail, and Sheriff Stacey Kincaid will not honor that ICE detainer. Now, I looked into it and I spoke to parents of about a dozen victims who tell me that this man, who's 18, will soon be 19 and is a junior at Fairfax County High School.
Before we get to what he did, let's at least digest what we were told. He's 19, going to be 19. He is a junior in high school. ICE will not be listened to. The sheriff will not hand this guy over, even though he's in the country illegally. The detainer will not be followed. This is Virginia under Abigail Spanberger. This is the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Do not tell me about the uniparty. I will not sit here and disagree with you that there are a lot of Republicans who have absolutely no strength whatsoever. They are absolutely weak. Totally true. Fact. Undeniable. I'm with you. But the idea that these parties are the same, these parties are absolutely not at all the same. Listen to what he was doing, and I'm telling you right now, it's disturbing.
Went behind their girls in the hallways at school, and he put his hands in between their legs, moving from the front to the back with his hands. And this happened at least a dozen times, they tell me. And several victims have come forward. And parents are livid at Fairfax County Public Schools. They say they've been sweeping this under the rug, and this alleged behavior has been going on all school year, according to the prosecutor, and nothing has been done about it until now. And there was a court hearing today where the student's public defender was trying to release him, asking for bail, and Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney Steve Descano's office agreed to release him, but the judge said no. The judge said that the bail request did not adequately address the public safety.
So Steve Descano, who we have now heard about in a couple of places as being unwilling to work with ICE, working against ICE, working against the interests of citizens. This is also the Stephanie Mintner case. Different case, but getting killed at a bus stop by somebody who was in the country illegally. It was Steve Descano who dropped the charges against him before he went on to kill Stephanie Mintner. Minter, M-I-N-T-E-R. And this is the same guy who wants to not have charges and leniency for this guy who is fondling underage girls in a school. For the sake of just making sure we're all on the same page, if you favor the release of the Epstein files and you don't favor this guy being deported, you're full of crap. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. I favor the release of the Epstein files. I favor charges for anybody involved with abusing children. I favor jail sentences that go on for forever, and I favor worse. And I favor this guy being deported or worse. If you favor the release of the Epstein files and you don't favor this guy being thrown in a jail cell or thrown out of the country, you're a liar, you're a fraud, and you're okay with the abuse of children. To hell with those people and their mothers. That's the only answer. It's the only possible answer that one could even begin to come to. That what we have in front of us is a moment of everybody coming together on the basics. How in the world is it possible that one could be in favor of one thing and not the other thing? I don't know. I absolutely don't know. Now, there's more to this story. There is more to this story as I have it here, because as we discussed earlier, the sheriff by the name of Stacy Kincaid, she is the sheriff in Fairfax. And she won't turn him over. So now we have ourselves another set in this conversation. We have not only the attorneys desperate for people like this to have leniency, but we have law enforcement themselves not in favor of enforcing the law. Now, since the connective tissue in these things is Democrats, why don't we start asking questions about why it is that Democrats are okay with this 1-2 punch? Because in this scenario, in this scene, in this story, what they are in favor of is children, girls under the age of 18, being sexually groped. That's what they favor. I want to know if there's another way to say this. I want to see how people could possibly defend this. The argument is clear, undeniable, that if you have a Democrat saying we want no bail, If you have a Democrat saying we won't turn them over to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, this is the defense of groping young girls. What makes Descano, the attorney, and what makes Stacey Kincaid, the sheriff, any different than Epstein? You're okay with girls getting abused? Oh, so now it's the amount of the abuse. So you're okay with girls getting some abuse, but not all that abuse. Okay, that guarantees you, by the way, a spot in heaven. Bravo. Well done. Seriously, Producer Landon, no applause for that? Oh, yeah. Good on you. Bravissimo. The obscenity that we are witnessing on this subject from the people who want to scream, look at those pedophile protectors over there. Trump is not a pedophile protector. Trump and the team and Pam Bondi have done a crap job regarding the Epstein files. They got it wrong from the beginning. I really cannot tell you why. Well, it's because he's in the Epstein files, because he did it. It's the one thing that I think is pretty clear he didn't do. Oh, you could argue he did a whole bunch of things. Not that. Not that. But a lot of people did. And why in the world would you think that this isn't a big deal? So embarrassingly dopey. Well, this is a big deal. This is a big bleeping deal, as Joe Biden would say, followed by, now where's my ice cream? You promised me ice cream. One person, Steve Descano, the Commonwealth attorney, refuses to really engage in prosecution and wants bail for an illegal immigrant molesting underage girls. And then you have a sheriff who won't turn that guy over to ICE. How is this not just another version of Epstein? It is what it is, what it is. We should call it what it is. We should be describing this as it is. The problem is we've got a lot of these kinds of stories where you have the left completely unwilling to do their job. What are they defending? What are they actually defending? What is it that they think is valuable here about not turning this guy over? It would seem to me that turning this guy over is exactly what we would all want, because that's the very last person you want out there on the streets. You wouldn't want this person near your own wife, near your own sister, near your own aunt, near your own daughters. What person wants this guy out there? What person possibly wants that person out there who isn't so absolutely mentally deranged that they should have to live in an institution and shouldn't be allowed to drive? The answer is the American left. This argument would be much stronger if you released everything regarding Epstein, every last thing regarding Epstein, and then said, there it is. As I have made the argument here, Trump doesn't need any protection. Put it out there. Put it right out there. And then let's go through it. Let's find people. If they are there and we could see that they have engaged in these kinds of acts, and prosecute. That's what the rational person does. That is the only thing the rational person does. And the same thing is true here. But yet there are people out there who think that Epstein is the only thing that matters and somehow this guy should go free. That's weird. And I don't know why we're the only ones noticing it. But it makes you realize that their whole Epstein conversation is totally full of crap. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz today. So am I back? What's weird is, so my camera got too hot and shut down. Now, in some cameras, you can change settings on that. And so I use Sony ZV-1s, right? That's what I use for the show. That's what I use for Eat, Drink, Smoke. And in the main, I'm very, very happy. It's a very simple camera. I think it gives a lot of good clarity in a picture. I like it quite a bit. Doesn't mean it's what I should use, right? If you have suggestions, I'll take suggestions. So this weird thing is with this heat thing. So you can change the settings to allow for more heat. But there are some days I'm like streaming all morning and I'm doing a TV hit, I'm doing something else, no problems. And then some days this happens. I don't know where the difference is. And it drives me crazy because there's nothing like, I do the same thing each time. And then like magically, there are times where it doesn't work. Super, super duper weird. I don't get it. No, it's not the temperature. Good question, Beth. The temperature of the studio. Studio's great. Studio is not an issue. But good question. Good question. That is not it. So I don't know why it happens. And it might happen again. I hope not. I left it off for a good 15 minutes there. So I'm assuming I'll be all right for the rest. And I may turn it off in between some breaks just to keep it a little bit cooler. All right, we will get to coming back. Fantastic. Anne thinks the problem is that I'm too sexy for my camera. Well, I think I'm just sexy enough for the camera. So the Cubans are protesting because they would like to be free of the communist hellscape they've been living under. And Trump keeps talking about, I'd love the honor of getting Cuba out of this and having a free Cuba. I'd love the honor of taking over Cuba. What a world. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, this is all about China. And it's just important to keep that in mind. What has happened here? These things do exist separately, and then they do exist together. They exist separately because you had the Maduro regime to deal with, and President Trump was pushing things in a very, very clear way that they were involved in drug running and this had to end. Is that a pretext? I'm going to leave that to others, and I think people can make their arguments. The removal of Maduro, and there's been, from what we're hearing, major changes in Venezuela. But I don't know if I have seen it in a way that I can tangibly point to and say, that. But that there's a different vibe and there's a different feel. And Delcy Rodriguez, who is a Maduro loyalist, has been forced to act differently within the nation. If that means that people are getting the dollars and there's actually an opportunity for people to be fed and they can actually engage in a capitalistic way and get oil money to be spread around the nation and build, fantastic. But the change in Venezuela and the toppling of communists creates the opportunity to push back on Russian and Chinese intervention in the Western Hemisphere, which is, of course, this conversation regarding Trump and the Monroe Doctrine, which they sometimes call the Trump Doctrine, which they sometimes call the Donroe Doctrine, which is, going back to the Monroe Doctrine, keeping European influence out of the Western Hemisphere. Now we see keeping the Russians and the Chinese and their influence out, which also means none of their military operations, no submarines, no warships, no working on satellite issues or other technology issues. No getting close to us. Nope, not going to happen. Then you have Iran. And just like you also have the big one, the oil not flowing to Russia in those ghost ships, you now have oil not getting to the Chinese. Now you have Iranian oil, which the Chinese buy. They don't care about sanctions. And now you have the opportunity to thwart this, to stop this, choking off China and the power source that they need, a very thirsty country. You also remove their ability to try and have any level of stronghold in the Middle East. You remove their ability to allow for saber rattling, which forces other people to spend their dollars and engage in other places so they're not engaging with China or trying to thwart China. And then you have Cuba. So, was it 90? What is the total miles that Cuba is off the coast of Key West there, Producer Landon? Is it 93 miles, something like that? Last thing you want is the Chinese that close. Last thing you want is communists working in our hemisphere. And so you stop them. It's 90 miles. I said 93. 90 miles. Thank you, chat room. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Landon. This is all about keeping the communists at bay, keeping the Chinese at bay. As Rush would say, the Chi-Coms. Absolutely. You've now got these multiple moves that really affect the Chinese in a very detrimental way. It's going to force them into levels of rethink about how they do things, how they operate, how they engage, which is fine by me. Now, does this keep them from moving forward on Taiwan? I think that there's an argument to be made about it might keep them from trying to get Taiwan militarily. Because the United States has shown that we've got a lot of strength, a lot of capability. Capability they didn't know we had. But sometimes you don't want to let loose. You don't want to let the enemy know what you can do. We a little bit let the enemy know what we can do. But that doesn't mean they still can't take Taiwan via other levels of force or coercion. But keeping China's influence out of our hemisphere and out of our backyard, good. Now you can't allow the Chinese communists to own land in the United States, nor businesses in the United States. This has to be next. Has to be. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. All right. this. Now, I'm not leaving. I'm just keeping an eye on this camera. So the camera had overheated, which that's weird. Right? It doesn't happen often, but it has happened before. So now I'm going to this screen. I don't. Do I have any other cool images that I could put up instead of this? Let's see if I can. Nope, that's not it. Get rid of that. Let me see if I've got another image that I can put up there. I don't have a ton of images. I've got that one. Nope, see, that's not it. That's the last one you want. There. I can do that. That picture's old. So that's when we were the top morning show in America in 2024. Because you guys know I do a morning show as well. We were also the top morning show in 2025. So we've been the top morning show, according to the trades, for 2 years in a row. So there's that. There's that. But I like this guy. I like that little cartoon thing. If anybody wants to draw some cartoons, let me know. We'll grab some cartoons. Meanwhile, I thought Trump was going to be speaking again. There he is. There we go. He's at was it a White House lunch with, it's with the Irish Prime Minister for St. Patrick's Day and the speaker. So I think this just started right here. No. If they're just gonna have lunch and not share with us, I don't need to see that or hear that. No, I do not. So now people are saying that the cartoon me looks younger than the real me. It's a cartoon. What the? I know. Good Lord. What's in the glass? You mean what's in the glass in the cartoon image of me? The hell, man? Everybody's ridiculous. Right. I'm just a guy in a cartoon that wants to have a beverage. Can a guy just drink in a fantasy world anymore? Okay. All right. So now we're back. Holding the drink. Got that. There we go. Excellent work. Three more things. Tony Katz today, guys. Good to be with you. A lot of stories going on out there. We don't get a chance to get to everything, and neither does the news. Well, because they don't seem to focus on the things that matter. But here's three more things you should be paying attention to. We've got a court blocking the CDC and blocking HHS regarding their changes to vaccine policy. Who the hell is this judge? His name is Brian Murphy, Biden appointee. And you've got the American Academy of Pediatrics saying, how dare the CDC make changes to childhood immunization schedules and reduce them? And how dare they remake the advisory committee on immunization practices? Why can't you remake and redo and have new people on the advisory committee of immunization practices? Oh, because RFK and Trump put their people on it and not Biden's people on it. So somehow, what? Dr. Robert Malone's no longer a doctor? This is the argument being made. That your medicine should be political. That everything should be based on politics. And if your politics don't agree with leftist politics, you shouldn't be allowed to do it. This is what judges say. What the judge said is that the reconstitution of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, known as ACIP, failed to abide by the Federal Advisory Committee Act, and that the CDC was bypassing the ACIP when changing the schedule. It was both a technical procedural failure and an abandonment of the technical knowledge and expertise embodied by that committee. The judge has no say on what is the technical expertise, because why would anybody believe that the Biden people had any expertise? They told me I had to stay 6 feet away from dying grandma. The expertise of the left had Andrew Cuomo sending people with COVID back into nursing homes to kill every person over the age of 78. The experts said, don't wear a mask. Oh, no, wait, wear a mask. Oh, no, wait. If you don't wear a mask, you lose your job. The experts said, not only do you have to take the vaccine, but if you don't take the vaccine, you're fired. If you don't take the vaccine, you shouldn't be allowed to travel. And if you don't take the vaccine, it's okay for us to publicly admonish you, take your life savings from you, take your ways to make a future, a financial future away from you, take your social skills away from you, the rest of it. You shouldn't be allowed to be on social media. You shouldn't be allowed to go to your job. You shouldn't be allowed this. You shouldn't be allowed entry there, etc. You know what I'm referring to. Those medical experts. One of the questions that got asked me earlier as I'm discussing what's going on in Iran is, why do you trust the government? Kitten. What does any of this have to do with trust? Am I keeping an eye on them? Of course I am. Do I want anything expansive? Do I want anything like nation building? Absolutely not. Taking out the regime, I absolutely favor. But if we want to talk about where the lack of trust comes from, well, the lack of trust has been building. I think if we're all honest with each other, regardless of our politics, we understand that this has been building and growing. That this is true of both parties in a lot of places. Now, it's certainly more true on the political right, because the political right has more of a rational opposition to government largesse. The progressive loves government largesse because that's where the control comes from. The political right wants more individual freedom, and more individual freedom means less government. That's where the divide is. But trust? What are we talking crazy about? The left doesn't trust government when Trump is around. Kamala Harris said you can't trust the vaccine if Trump creates it. That's a lot of hate. So, this judge deciding that that committee is improperly formed because the experts aren't acceptable, that's not a judge you should listen to. It's not a judge you should listen to. The argument is that the issuance of a January 2026 memo, which made these changes, was arbitrary and capricious because it abandoned the agency's longstanding practice of getting recommendations from ACIP before changing immunization schedules without sufficient explanation. And his argument is, well, you changed it first and therefore no. So this all seems rather procedural. It doesn't actually change anything. It really doesn't. But the idea that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as the Secretary of Health and Human Services, can't fire everybody who was on that old committee, can fire everybody. There's not a damn thing the left can do about it. He's in charge. He can fire who he wants. When Javier Becerra, a guy who knew nothing, was in charge, he can fire anybody he wants. That's that. I feel the same way about deportations. Story number 2, an appeals court allowing the Homeland Security Department to continue with the third country deportations. Excellent. Issuing the ruling that Homeland Security can deport illegal immigrants to countries other than their homes when the need arises. A lower court had stopped the practice. So you tell me I'm not allowed to deport so-and-so to their home country, even though they're here illegally, because you, some judge, claim there's a harm that could befall them. So I say, all right, we'll deport them to this other country. Oh, no, you can't do that either. What the hell? Judges are in charge of foreign policy, of immigration policy. Judges aren't in charge of anything. They're judges in courts that Congress could easily take away. And they should. Glenn Reynolds, the law professor there in Tennessee, thinks you need more courts. It's an interesting argument that he's making. I keep thinking about it. It's been over a year, I think, before he made this argument. Maybe it just feels like a year. But these judges who think that they're in charge, screw them. Who's decided they get to make the say on deportations? We elected somebody to handle the deportations. We want them to handle it. Oh, it's the same judge. Huh? The judge who blocked Robert F. Kennedy Jr. regarding childhood immunization schedules is the same judge who wanted to block the administration from deporting illegal immigrants to third countries. The first U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has put Judge Murphy's ruling on hold. So when I say activist judge, I'm right. I'm right. Everyone knows I'm right. I'm right. Plain and simple. Then there is the Washington Post. You know, there's this story, this meme, I should say, that goes around and around and around and around. And the meme basically consists of the line, "You do not hate the media enough." You don't. These people are absolutely awful. They are the very, very, very worst. They will lie to you in every single way, each and every chance they get, without question. So you had 9 Antifa terrorists, right? These Antifa folk. And they were convicted in Texas for attacking an ICE facility and attempting to murder officers there. Right? That's what they were convicted of. Here is how the Washington Post decided to tell the story. Texas prosecutors are arguing that an ICE facility protest was actually a left-wing terrorist plot. The first ever trial against an alleged Antifa cell could be a playbook for cracking down on Trump administration critics. They were trying to kill members of ICE. And how does the Washington Post describe this? Describes it as Trump administration critics. You do not hate the media enough. You just don't. That is 3 more things. I've got more ahead. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. Tony Katz Today. Let's see what we've got going on over here. Nothing but a good time, really. Look at you. Look at you, producer Landon. Go. There's that. Beautiful. All right, let's bring back a show. What are we waiting on, Landon? These people have no time to wait. Oh, do we have another minute 30 to go? Okay, sure. Yeah, don't raise your voice at me. I'll come over there and show you what's what. Are you really making corned beef and cabbage, Pete? Are you really doing that? Update on the Greenwood venue. I've had now a bunch of people reach out about venues. A bunch of people reach out. So the Greenwood one is that I was supposed to go there last week, and then I had to go downtown to a training. Oy. So I didn't get there, so I'm going to go this week. So I'm going to go this week and get that done. You seriously are making corned beef and cabbage. Look at you. Look at you, Pete. Handle it like a man. All right, so we're back in 30 seconds. Excellent, Smithers. Oh, well, there's that. This is going to be fun. It's about to get really fun.
And I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it.
That's President Trump talking about a guy by the name of Joe Kent, who was the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, who resigned. And I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. Well, speaking of powerful lobbies, Joe Kent, how about you with Tucker Carlson at his Christmas party? Are you working for the powerful Tucker Carlson lobby, throwing around the lies that Israel dragged America to this war? You absolute freak. I'm glad you're gone. Tony Katz, that's my name. Tony Katz today. I have no time for weak people in positions of power pretending to defend the country when they can't or won't. No time for weakness. What was in America's best interest? Imminent? You really would wait for the bomb to hit and then be like, I wonder if we should do something. Do you work for the Tucker lobby? It seems to me from this photo right here, this photo I'm looking at right over here, that you work for the Tucker Carlson lobby. You work for the TCL. And as part of the TCL, right, you do whatever it is Tucker Carlson wants. You do Tucker's bidding. That's what you do. I thought this is the way the game was played. No. Joe Kent, formerly running national counterterrorism, can't have his own thoughts or ideas. And that'd be like saying that the United States engages in actions regardless of what Israel wants. They might be aligned, they might not be aligned. But I'm told by all the people on the left and the woke right that it's just following the leader, which is somehow Israel, and that America doesn't think for itself now. So I have to apply the same rules to anybody associated with Tucker. That's what's happening. You just follow Tucker Carlson. That's all you do. You do his bidding. We get it now. Glad we have this all figured out. Glad we got it understood and explained. I think it was going to be hard for some people. What's going to be hard is getting to the airport. Nope, not getting there. Getting there might be very easy. But getting on your plane. Because the left is very okay with not funding Department of Homeland Security. TSA is not getting paid. Oh, they'll fund TSA, but not the rest of DHS? Sorry, I'm not playing your games. You fund the Department of Homeland Security. And includes ICE, because ICE is engaged in a valuable mission. It includes Border Patrol. It includes the Coast Guard. And you don't get to pick and choose. The legislation's right there. And Republicans should tell them to screw off. Oh, and as for airports, yeah, they might shut down.
We're doing absolutely everything we can. We have a national deployment office force, and we've fully depleted that. So at this point, we're fully stretched. And so, frankly, there's not much else we can do. As the weeks continue, if this continues, it's not hyperbole to suggest that we may have to quite literally shut down airports, particularly smaller ones, if call-out rates go up and we can't, a lot of these officers can't afford to come in. I talked to one officer this week. She's a single mother, and she has a special needs child, and she can't afford to pay for her special needs child's childcare. So again, I believe it's frankly unconscionable that we have Senate Democrats that are playing, they're holding our folks' financial livelihood hostage over political games, political partisanship. So we really need to get back to normal order.
So just like they did in the first shutdown, we're here on spring break, and Democrats want to exert maximum pain. And Republicans still haven't messaged this properly. I told them how. Go to the airports, make videos, hand out bottles of water and sandwiches and all sorts of things. So sorry you have to wait in this line. These Democrats won't fund the Department of Homeland Security, and it has to be funded in full, not little pieces of it. They have to be responsible Americans and care more about America than they do about power. And Republicans missed the moment. Maybe they can still claw it back. But spring break is here, and people ain't going to be able to fly. And that's going to be a thing. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Guys, you are appreciated. Really and truly. The show continues at WIBC.com. Can't thank you guys enough for being here. Camera thing is probably an aberration. It's happened before, but as long as it happens infrequently, we'll just keep things going. And my videographer sent me a fan that I can attach. So as long as it doesn't create much noise, then that could work. Appreciate you guys very, very much. I am back tomorrow, and we'll do more show. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. My goodness gracious. Do not forget to subscribe. You go to TonyKatz.com. And, of course, on YouTube. Would you do that, please? Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you tomorrow. Good stuff. Take care.